Good day everyone, we are the group 6 and we are going to discuss about the income and business taxation.
So, ang nakabutang ida is ang tax isa yung naghahatag kita sa estado like ang mga kita sa negosyo maaro ang government demand. So, and for example na son is ang buwis. So, ang taxation is imbubuligan ato ngaran sini ang government na magbayad sa atong mga expenses o naghahatag sira income sa government na mabaydan ng era expenses. May dakit two purpose sa taxation. Number 1 is primary purpose. Iton ang expenses na inbabaydan sa government or intatawag na infrastructure. Or iton ang project sa government na ginihimo tas dida sira nakuha ibarayad sa ira taxes. Ang secondary purpose is may mga various purposes. So, ang una na nakabutang dida is like for example, ang tindahan. May dakit mga imported goods. Ito nga goods, may da sira iba nga porsyento sa taxes compare sa mga local products. So, ang local products is diri na sira magkakayong kakompetensya sa mga imported goods kay magkakaiba man sira porsyento sa taxes. So, ang ikaduwa nga various purposes is it means ang wealth tas ang income sa mga tao is equal lang. So, ang last nga various purposes is like ang pagtaas ng buwis maaring makagawa ng problema sa government.
Okay, so taxes have 5 classifications. First is the direct taxes. Direct taxes are taxes that individuals pay directly to the government and they cannot be shifted to any other person or group. These taxes are primarily imposed on natural persons and are typically based on the taxpayer's ability to pay, which can be measured by income, consumption, or net wealth. So ayun na nga ang direct taxes daw ay yung direktang binabayaran ng mga individual sa gobyerno at hindi maaaring ilipat sa ibang tao o grupo. Ang mga buwis na ito ay mostly pinapataw sa mga natural na individual at kadalasan ay base sa kakayahan ng nagbabayad ng buwis na magbayad na maaaring matukoy sa kita, consumption, o net wealth. Next is indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are levied on the production or consumption of goods and services as well as on transactions such as imports and exports. Okay, so ayun. Ang indirect taxes ay pinapataw sa produksyon o pagkonsumo ng mga goods at services, gayon din sa mga transaksyon tulad ng pag-import at pag-export. In addition, unlike sa direct taxes, hindi ito direktang pinapataw sa kita ng isang tao. Ang tax na ito ay pinapataw sa producer ng goods and services tapos yung buyer ang magsasalo at magbabayad ng buwis. So basically, ang indirect taxes is mga buwis na pwedeng maipasa sa ibang tao o entity. Example of indirect taxes include the general and selective sales taxes, value-added taxes or VAT, taxes on manufacturing or production, taxes on legal transactions, and customs or import duties. Next is progressive tax. A progressive tax is defined as a tax whose rate increases as the payer's income increases. This means that individuals with higher incomes will have a greater proportion of their incomes taken to pay the tax. Progressive tax are often seen as a way to reduce income inequalities. So basically, ang progressive tax is kapag tumataas ang kita ng isang individual, tumataas din ang babayarin niyang buwis. Next is regressive tax. A regressive tax is one whose rate increases as the payer's income decreases. In other words, individuals with lower incomes bear a higher burden of the tax. Regressive taxes can potentially exacerbate income inequalities. So ayun, napaka-problematic talaga para sa mga individual dahil kapag bumababa kanilang kita, tumataas naman ang kanilang babayaring buwis. Lastly, a proportional tax imposes the same relative burden on all taxpayers, meaning that tax liability and income grow in equal proportion. It is often referred to as a flat tax. For example, if you live in a state with a flat income tax of 5%, each taxpayer will pay 5% of their taxable income. This ensures that everyone pays a proportional amount of their income. So in addition, mapa-lower, middle, upper income, ang mga tao ay magbabayad ng proportional amount sa buwis.
Basic principles of a sound tax system, we have three. The first one is fiscal adequacy. The government should make sure that the amount of revenue collected would be enough to shoulder the different expenses incurred by it. This would entail proper planning and budgeting on the part of our government official concerned. This means that sources of revenue must be sufficient to meet government expenditures and other public needs. The second one, theoretical justice. The burden of taxation should be proportionate to the ability of the taxpayer to pay it. It should be noted that the proportionality does not necessarily mean equality in the amount of taxes to be paid. Persons who are earning different amount of income should not be forced to pay the same amount of income taxes. And the third one is administrative feasibility. The tax laws being promulgated by our government should be capable of justice and equitable administration. They must be clear to the taxpayers and they can be easily implemented by the tax authorities.
Three inherent powers of the government. The first power of the government is eminent domain. This is the power of the government to take private property upon payment of just compensation to be used for public purposes. Meaning, ang government has a power to take private property ng mga tao para sa pampublikong layunin, katulad ng pagtatayo ng kalsada, ospital o iba pang proyektong magagamit ng mga publiko. Pero sa ganitong sitwasyon ay babayaran ng gobyerno ang may-ari ng tamang halaga o just compensation para sa ari-arian na kukunin. Ang halimbawa nito ay pagkuha ng lupa para sa pagpapalawak ng daan upang mapabuti ang transportasyon ng publiko. The second power of the government is police power. This is the power of the government to make laws that will promote public health, morals, safety, and welfare of the people. Meaning, ang government natin ay mayroong karapatang gumawa ng mga batas na magpapalaganap ng public health, moral, safety, and welfare of the people. Ang halimbawa nito ay ang pagpapatupad ng regulasyon sa paggamit ng helmet sa mga motorista upang mapanatili ang kanilang kaligtasan sa kalsada. The third power of the government is taxation. The power of the government to collect taxes that will be used to finance the different projects needed by the people. Meaning, may kapangyarihan ang pamahalaan na magkolekta ng buwis na gagamitin upang pondohan ang iba't ibang proyekto na kailangan ng mga mamamayan. Ang halimbawa nito ay ang pagkolekta ng income tax mula sa mga manggagawa na ginagamit ng gobyerno upang pondohan ang mga serbisyong pangkalusugan, edukasyon at infrastruktura.
Income taxation. The two biggest classification of income taxpayers are individuals and corporation. For income tax purposes, individuals can be further classified into four. A resident citizen is a person who is a Filipino citizen and who lives or resides here in the Philippines. B. Non-resident citizen is a person who is a citizen of another foreign country and does not also reside here in the Philippines. C. Resident alien is a person who is a citizen of another foreign country but reside here in the Philippines during the taxable year. D. Non-resident alien is a person who is a citizen of another foreign country and does not also reside in the Philippines. And they can be further classified as one who is either 1. Engaged in trade or business, 2. Or not engaged in trade or business.
Kinds of income. Individual can earn from at least 3 kinds of income. First, compensation income. This is the income being received by employees working for different companies. This is usually in the form of salaries, bonuses, and allowances. Second, business or professional income. This is the income generated by entrepreneurs' business or by different professionals like lawyers, doctors, and accounts professional income. They do not work as employees of another people. Third, passive income. These are income generated by different investments made by the individual.
So this is the tax table. This is very useful when you are to compute the taxes due for the government. So if your income is 10,000 and not over 30,000, magbe-base ka dida sa table kung pira imo babayaran nga taxes sa government. So ini siya nga table, parang pinaka-introduction siya for computing the taxes due to the government. Now, we have here the personal exemptions. So, ini siya nga mga terms, i-discuss ko lang muna kay makikita ini siya when we are to compute na for income tax payable. So again, personal exemptions are amounts that can be deducted from certain individuals' gross income before it will be subjected to the income tax table. It can be classified into basic personal exemptions and additional personal exemptions for dependent children. First is the basic personal exemptions. In the Philippines, individuals except non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business gets a basic personal exemption of 50,000. This applies to individuals whether single, married, or widowed. For NRA ETB or non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business, they get personal exemptions. This is the smaller amount between 50,000 allowed by the Philippine tax laws and the exemption given by such non-resident aliens foreign country to Filipinos classified as non-resident aliens in such foreign country. They get whichever is lower between these two values. Next, we have here the additional personal exemptions. So dito, may mandatory deduction of 25,000 pesos for each qualified dependent child up to maximum of 4 qualified dependent children in the Philippines, or a maximum amount of 100,000 pesos. So these are the following qualifications before a child may be considered as dependent for tax purposes. It must be a legitimate, or legally adopted child of the taxpayer. Next is it must be chiefly dependent upon the taxpayer and still living with them. Next is must not be more than 21 years old, unmarried, and is not gainfully employed. Last is, though more than 21 years old, is incapable of self-support because of mental or physical defect. Ngayon, we are down to solving on how we are to come up with income tax payable, which is payable to BIR. For the individuals, we have different types of it. So, na-discuss na to, di ba kanina? Sa basic personal exemptions, 4 lang ang allowed sa 50,000 pesos na basic personal exemptions, habang yung dalawa, it is not allowed. Sa additional personal exemptions naman, 3 lang ang allowed sa 25 pesos additional for the dependent. So, kung mayroon kang 1 na dependent child, may 25,000 ka na less. Kung halimbawa 2 naman, like dalawa yung anak mo na dependent, mayaon ka 50,000 na less aside sa 50,000 sa basic personal exemptions. And also, 3 rin yung not allowed sa additional personal exemptions.
Now we have the comprehensive problem. We have here the tax table, which is the taxpayer has the following incomes and expenses during the year, and contents a table which is compensation income Philippines 100,000, Japan 350,000, business income Philippines 100,000, business income Britain 100,000, and business expense Philippines 266,000, and business expense Britain 57,000. So, proceed na kita sa mga computation. So, bali, ano yung problem? So, individual is married with 3 dependent children. Compute for the income tax payable if the taxpayer is a resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, NRATB with no reciprocity, NRATB with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 60,000 personal exemptions to Filipinos in that foreign country. So, last, NRATB with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 30,000 personal exemptions to Filipinos in that foreign country. So, the computation sa resident citizen. So, madali lang siya. Bali, hanapan mo lang mga total. So, meron siya, tulong na total na hanapan mo, which is the total gross income, taxable income, tapos, and last, income tax payable. Tapos, sa total gross income, madali lang, pagkuha. So, bali, kukuha mo lang ang compensation income sa Philippines is 400,000. The same sa Japan, 350,000. Tapos business income sa Philippines, 900,000. Business income sa Britain, which is 100,000 with a total gross income of 1,750,000. So, sa taxable income man, bali, same rules apply sa total gross income. I-add mo ta siya. So, i-list down mo mga parts. Pero kung mapansin niyo, mayroon part na additional personal exemption. So, an issue ito is, issue, kung ito kay yun, 75,000 bali. Kada nakalist down di nga business expense is mga dependent ni sir nga tolo. Kada dependent is equivalent to 25,000. So 25,000 times 3 is 75,000. So as like the total gross income, same rules apply. I-add mo lang sila. So, 266,000 plus 37,000 plus 50,000 plus 75,000 is equals to 1,322,000. So, yun na. Mag-proceed na kita sa last part, which is an income tax payable. So, kung paano ito kuhain, madali lang siya. So, kailangan bumalik sa tax table. So, ali nga on the first 100,000, makakuha mo siya via din sa basic over. So, over man siya, 500,000. So, yung mga ibubutang mo. Tapos, kung ano kanya tax, which is 125k. So, may ibubutang. Tapos, pwede nga on the remaining, ano ito, bali, dili sa tax table. Sa, dili siya masulod ini nga duwang part. So, bali, of excess over. An imo taxable income, which is 1,322,000, 1,322,000, ibanan mo 500,000, which is 822,000. Tapos ito na 822,000, ibanan mo sininga plus, bali ibanan mo 32%. So around 32% sa 822k, alin na 263,000. So kung paano kuha ng income tax payable, same rules apply ta siya sa ibang parts. Bali add mala siya, bali 125k plus 263,000 equals to 388. So ayun, madali ka lang siya.
So, to compute for non-resident citizen, parela ang process niya sa nauna. Pero yung kaibahan dito is you are only to compute for the compensation income in the Philippines and business income in the Philippines to get the total gross income. So, that an equal is 1,300,000. So, iglalas muna siya sa business expense in the Philippines, which is 266,000, and basic personal exemptions is 50,000, and yung additional personal exemptions niya is 75,000, equals 909,000. So if you get the taxable income, you are going to use the tax table na. So, ang range niya is 500,000 over. So, ang nakuha na tax is 125,000. Now, you are going to less 909,000 sa 500. So, ang remaining niya is 409,000 nala. Sa 409,000, kukuhaan mo dito ang 32%, which is maunaan 130,880. I-add mo laan 125,000 and 130,880. So makukuha mo na ang income tax payable, which is the 255,880. So, nga di sa pag-compute sa resident alien, as you can see, same process la siya sa non-resident citizen. Nagsalala po sa income tax payable. Dapat 255,880 iton. Diri 131,005.
Number 4, compute for the income tax payable if the taxpayer is a non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with no reciprocity. Just add the compensation income and business income in the Philippines. 400,000 plus 900,000 is equals to 1,300,000 less the business expense and personal exemptions. The business expense in the Philippines is 266,000. Non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business and there's no reciprocity are not entitled to personal exemptions. Kaya hindi natin nalagyan ang basic personal exemption and additional personal exemption. Ipinakita yan sa table kanina sa unahan kung saan nakalagay doon kung sinong mga individual ang allowed at di-allowed sa basic personal exemption and additional personal exemption. The business expense will be subtracted to the total gross income. So 1,300,000 minus 266,000 is equals to 1,034,000. That is the taxable income. The taxable income will be subjected to the tax table to get the income tax payable. Balikan nyo yung tax table. Ang 1,034,000 is over 500,000. At ang tax niya for the first 500,000 is 125,000. Since yung taxable income mo is 1,034,000, meron ka pang remaining 534,000. I-multiply mo siya sa 32% para malaman mo kung ilan ang tax sa remaining 534,000 out of 1,034,000. Saan nakuha ang 32%? Nandoon siya sa tax table. So, ang 32% ng 534,000 ay 170,880. I-add mo lang ang 170,880 plus 125,000. That is equal to 295,880. 295,880 is the income tax payable. Number 5, NRE at ETB, non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 60,000 personal exemptions to Filipinos in that foreign country. So we are just going to add the compensation income and business income in the Philippines. Compensation income is 400,000 plus business income 900,000. The total gross income is 1,300,000 less business expense in the Philippines 266,000 less basic personal exemptions. Ang non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity is only allowed for basic personal exemptions. Hindi siya allowed for additional personal exemptions. Now, question, bakit 50,000 lang ang basic personal exemptions kahit ang nakalagay sa given is 60,000? Because the standard basic personal exemption in the Philippines is only 50,000. Kaya kahit 60,000 ang nakalagay sa given, ang isusulat lang is 50,000. So, 1,300,000 minus 266,000 minus 50,000, the taxable income is 984,000. So 984,000 is over 500,000 in the tax table. The tax for the first 500,000 is 125,000. To get the tax for the remaining 484,000, just get the 32%, which is 154,880, and add 125,000 plus 154,880 equals 279,880, which is the income tax payable. Number 6, the non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 30,000 personal exemptions to Filipinos in that foreign country. Compensation income in the Philippines is 400,000 plus business income in the Philippines 900,000. The total gross income is 1,300,000 less the business expense in the Philippines 266,000 less the basic personal exemptions 30,000. Although ang basic personal exemption sa Pilipinas ay 50,000, kapag mas mababa sa 50,000 ang basic personal exemption in the given problem, halimbawa tulad dito 30,000, ang isusulat lang natin ay 30,000. Kung mas mataas naman sa 50,000 ang given ng basic personal exemption, ang ilalagay lang natin ay 50,000. Walang additional personal exemption dahil hindi allowed ang non-resident alien engaged in trade or business. Just subtract the business expense and basic personal exemption from the total gross income. The taxable income is 1,004,000. 1,004,000 is over 500,000 in the tax table. The tax for the first 500,000 is 125,000. That is the tax for the 500,000 pa lang. Meron pang remaining 504,000 sa taxable income mo na 1,004,000. So, to solve for the tax of the remaining 504,000, kunin mo lang ang 32% niya, which is 161,280. Tapos, to get the income tax payable, just add 125,000 plus 161,280. The answer is 286,280. That's the income tax payable.
So now, kindly answer our quiz, which contains enumeration and solving. Sa solving na part, you are going to compute for the income tax payable if the taxpayer is a resident alien and non-resident alien engaged in trade or business with no reciprocity. That's it for our video presentation. Thank you for listening.